So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ohio EPA's 2021 Sustainability Conference. My name is Dan Sowery with the Division of Environmental and Financial Assistance here at Ohio EPA, and I'll be moderating this morning's keynote with Crystal Davis, followed by our Encouraging Environmental Excellence in Communities recognition ceremony. I'm excited and extremely proud to introduce Crystal Davis. Crystal is a respected professional with a career in government affairs that bloomed in Columbus, Ohio and Washington, D.C. Crystal is currently with the Alliance for the Great Lakes as its Vice President of Policy and Strategic Engagement, leading the organization's efforts related to Lake Erie, drinking water policy advocacy, and relationship building across the region. To return to Greater Cleveland, Crystal left a position in D.C. as the Federal Relations Director for Kent State University, where she established KSU's federal office and policy agenda on Capitol Hill. Her previous experience includes stints with the Ohio House of Representatives, the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. Crystal is a graduate of Kent State University, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and an Ohio Lake Erie Commissioner, also an Environmental Commissioner, and member of the JEDI or JEDI Committee for the City of Twinsburg, Ohio. 2018's Crain's Cleveland Business 40 Under 40 honoree and winner of the 2015 Ohio Trio Trailblazer Award. She's an Akron, Ohio native and now lives in Northeast Ohio with her husband and 2 young children. And with that, it's my utmost pleasure to turn the mic over to Crystal Davis.
Good morning, friends. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to join you this morning for this conversation. Again, I'm Crystal MC Davis. I say that because there happens to be 2 Crystal Davises in Cleveland working on water issues. And so I'm super excited to be here. So whether you're a feverish note taker or a multitasker, and right now you're ordering your groceries for the week or throwing a load in the laundry, that is okay with me. There is no judgment here. I consider it an honor to be in community with you today. If I've learned nothing throughout this pandemic, it's been that we have to give grace to other folks because you don't know what people are going through. We have to value our time, and it's really understanding the interconnection of so many of the movements that we hold dear. So again, I consider it an honor to be in community with you today. Okay. All right. So, who is the Alliance for the Great Lakes? The Alliance for the Great Lakes is a 51-year-old water conservation organization based in Chicago with 6 offices throughout the Great Lakes states. And so we have a myriad of programs, stewardship programs like our signature Adopt a Beach program, but we really focus on policy issues. And I like to think of them in 3 big buckets. And so we work on aquatic invasive species, agriculture and water issues, trying to work on policy to curb agricultural runoff and mitigate harmful algal blooms. And then our newest body of work is our drinking water policy work. And that was really a response to community concern. And so in 2017, we did a listening tour around Northeast Ohio and talked with communities, and they expressed the desire to really get our attention on water affordability, lead service line replacement, and addressing aging water infrastructure. So that is also a big body of work for our organization as well. So today I was charged with talking about sustainability, and we like to start with what is sustainability? Simply put, I've read that, and I'm going to read this so I can say it right. Sustainability is a business approach to creating long-term value by taking into consideration how a given organization operates in the ecological, social, and economic environment. Sustainability is built on the assumption that developing such strategies foster company longevity. So now that we're clear as mud, what is sustainability? I've been in the environmental sector for a while now, and I know if we don't have anything, it's acronyms on top of acronyms, buzzwords, a lot of big, complex words that are subjective to the audience with whom you are speaking. And so it still begs the question, what is sustainability? And it's easy to get overwhelmed by these buzzwords and forget about what the concepts at their essence really mean. And so the EPA, I think, has probably the best definition. It's saying everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. To pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. So now that we understand that, it doesn't have to be some specific thing you can interpret in sustainability however you like, what is the value proposition? Why are we talking about this? I said before, Dan mentioned it in my bio, I worked in the Ohio House of Representatives, and as a legislative aide, I saw lots of people come in with their advocacy issues. And I knew one thing for sure. Everybody that came in thought that their issue was the most important issue. And that's okay. But why do we have the space to talk about sustainability? And so my father, my dad, Nathaniel Cook of Akron, Ohio, I have to give him his shout out, has lots of sayings. My dad has a saying for everything, but one is particularly relevant to this conversation today. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And Dad always says that. And I repeat it now, and I'm becoming my dad. Now that's another moment. But it is what it is. So if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And we know that sustainability brings economic dividends. So it makes sense. It's worthy of the investment. You can earn money and boost your bottom line by making your business more sustainable, reducing business costs, more innovative strategies, and improved reputations and more customers who value sustainability all work to increase the amount of money sustainable businesses can earn. So the familiar benefits of a business supporting sustainability include reducing your costs, higher productivity, attracting and retaining the best workers, and includes improving the business's public image as a green company. And we all want to be considered green these days. And so what does being sustainable look like? There are many different ways a business can become sustainable. They can reduce waste, prevent pollution, adopt clean energy policies, conserve water. Their products can be more sustainable. And they can also adopt sustainable business travel policies. So it's not just the traditional things that we've heard about, just recycling. It's a number of other things. All of these are viable, sustainability services that you can adapt to fit the needs of your organization at this time. I think the thing that really intrigues me is that we talk about environmentalism, equity, sustainability, like they're new concepts. And so you're now seeing titles with these words in them, and the terminology may be new, but the concepts precede me, my mom, and even my grandparents. So I happen to be the family historian. Now, if you know me or you know my family, don't go and repeat that to my family members, because this is a self-appointed position. And so this is what I call myself, because I have actively collected stories, inherited lots of records, and have spent all of my free time, which is only a little bit anyway, I've spent most of my free time trying to build out our family tree. I love how sustainability has morphed over the generations. My paternal grandparents, Martha and Sydney, had 13 children. And so cooking big pots of food that stretched what some would consider food waste into full meals and passing clothing around from generation to generation was their idea of sustainability in action. My maternal grandma, Grandma Dee Dee, the love of my life, took it a step too far. Grandma rinsed out Ziploc bags. Now that's going too far for me. But I love her the same. And when I started to think about her sustainability journey, I started to think about the fact that when we went to her house in Milwaukee, we ate on real plates. She always had a flourishing garden where she grew her own produce. And every summer, I helped her to hang washed clothes on the clothing line in the backyard to dry. And she never used the dryer in the summertime. And so these were things that she did that were considered sustainable practices. We wouldn't consider it that way at this time. My great-grandma Adeline and my great-grandfather, Joe Porter Harris, who's pictured here, and he is so cool. Look at this. I wish I would have had an opportunity to meet him. But they managed a family farm in Starkville, Mississippi, while my great-grandfather also traveled for work. And so they did a lot. Their idea of sustainability was collecting rainwater for later use, using coffee grounds to fertilize soil, and making quilts of outgrown clothing. Now, I think it's important to note that none of these people would consider themselves environmentalists or sustainability experts, but they were doing the right thing for their families and for their businesses and stretching their money. And there are lessons there that we can adopt in our lives as well. And so I think the slide is kind of messing up, but it's okay. This slide was saying we need to meet communities at their connection to the issues. And so for, as I'm working in water issues, there are some folks that Lake Erie is their source of recreation and employment. And for others, their greatest connection to Lake Erie is that it's their source of tap water. And so that is where we need to also meet people where they are in their sustainability journey. One size does not fit all. From solar panels and comprehensive energy conservation plans to just an entry-level preliminary recycling program or installation of some low-flow toilets. You have to adapt the sustainability strategies that fit your company at this time. And it may grow over time and change over time. That's the goal. They are all significant in their own right and contribute to our overall goal of making Ohio a more green place to live, work, and play. And so one thing for sure, I do not do presentations anymore without mentioning this. Social, racial, and economic justice are inseparable from environmental justice. We cannot achieve our vision of a Great Lakes enjoyed by all when systemic racism is allowed to permeate our society unchecked. And you may be thinking, like, what does that have to do with sustainability? Where are you coming from with that? It's always relevant. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. This statement here will always be relevant. As we set out to become more green, we must also seize opportunities to address environmental injustices. The power of our collective self, or the power of the collective, is yet to be realized as we seek to promote equity in all parts of our lives. And so I always like to have a call to action, some kind of charge for everyone to end on. And so one of them is to define sustainability for you, your household, your company, your organization. What does it mean right now? What are you currently doing? And can you challenge yourself to level up? What more could you do? Right now, for me at home and my family, I'm excited when my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old go in the trash while we're having company over and say, this is recyclable. This needs to get out of here. We need to put this in a recycle bin instead of the trash. Those are my wins right now. And we're celebrating the small wins. But I'm also challenging myself to level up. What more can we do? And because it's the right thing to do. And it's innate. It's in us. Like I said, with my grandparents and great grandparents, this is not something new. This is something that is part of who we are. So that's a little bit about my sustainability journey. I thank you for the opportunity. This is my contact information, and I'm eager to answer some questions.
Wow. Thank you, Crystal, for sharing your own personal perspective, for your call to action, and for setting the stage for our sustainability conference. So now we'll begin taking questions submitted from attendees. As a reminder, you can still submit questions to our keynote by clicking on the question mark icon on your interface. And if we do not get to your question, we will follow up with you after today's session. All right, so Crystal, the first question that we got from the audience is asking you to repeat the definition of sustainability you had mentioned in the beginning of your keynote.
Sure. So sustainability is, this was the EPA definition. So everything we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. So to pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations.
Excellent. Thank you. And so here's another question from the audience. And you had mentioned the importance of meeting communities where they are in their sustainability journey. But what are some best practices for doing that with equitably?
Sure. So I think one of the reports that I'm super proud of with the Alliance for the Great Lakes is our Step 1 Shut Up and Listen report. And that we titled it that way because we just wanted to be straightforward about the fact that we stopped making assumptions about what communities wanted and we listened to them directly. And what we heard is that we need to make sure that the things that we're talking about are relevant. And so we need to rid our conversations of the insider jargon we tend to do out of muscle memory sometimes. It's, when we're talking amongst ourselves in our industry, we have a lot of insider jargon. And so making sure that we're talking directly and also making sure that we're talking about things that are the most relatable to the people that we are trying to attract. And so for communities, that's going to the things that they can see every day. We don't need to start to have a conversation about some complex policy issue when we need to just really start at the ground level and making sure that there is a clear understanding of what we're trying to do.
Excellent. Thank you. And here's another question. Have there been any positive or negative policy changes towards the Great Lakes due to COVID?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So the pandemic has highlighted the intrinsic connection between public health and water issues and environmental issues. And like I said before, the connection of so many movements together. When the pandemic hit, we started to hear about water shutoffs happening in communities. And when the whole family has to stay home and hunker down in quarantine and there is no water, that presents a challenge that is just unparalleled. Also, at the same time, the CDC was saying the first line of defense against the coronavirus was to wash your hands. And then came the mask mandates where we had to have cloth masks and we washed our masks. So if you don't have water, it was really highlighted how many people were really struggling. And they're really living in the shadows because it's not something that folks are screaming from the rooftops. I don't have water in my home. So it was the one-on-one phone calls that I got from people that I knew and I cared about that really highlighted, hey, I don't have water. Is there something you could do? I know you work in water. That really highlighted for me personally how tragic this issue was. And so I think that the pandemic it wasn't the great equalizer. It exacerbated existing injustices throughout our country.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Crystal. Here's another question. How do you get communities in Southern Ohio to care about sustainability and water quality of the Great Lakes when they believe that they're not directly affected?
Yeah, I think it's about changing the narrative. I appreciate that question because that's the same charge that we have when we go to Congress and we're meeting with congressional members who aren't from the Great Lakes. And so getting them to vote to support Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding and things of that nature. It's about making sure that they understand how this improves the collective, talking about the economic benefits of some of these policy opportunities is equally important. And so that is also part of the rationale for talking about the drinking water issues that our organization and a number of organizations across the country have started to focus even more directly on. Because, okay, you're not living in the northern part of Ohio, but you still value your drinking water. You still are concerned about lead service lines and aging infrastructure. And so we know that over the next 20 years, Ohio is facing a price tag of $27 billion to improve drinking wastewater infrastructure. That's an issue for all of us together. So we really have to start thinking with a collective mindset about how we can address these issues.
Excellent. Thank you. And these questions, Crystal, they're coming in left and right, so I'm trying to keep up with them. Here's another question. How do you promote the positive economic impacts of sustainability?
Part of that, promoting the positive impacts, economic impacts of sustainability is really making sure we're changing the messengers. And that's something I say all the time. I spend a lot of time at the Ohio State House and the halls of Congress. And when they see me coming, they know, okay, Crystal's coming to talk about water. Okay. Several years ago, it was like, oh, she's coming to talk about Kent State and higher ed. That's who she is. But when other messengers come, we get their attention in a different way. And so sometimes we need to send in educators, business leaders. We need different messengers who can talk about the different ways that these issues are experienced. So, and they have varying relationships with legislators and influence. And with the greater population. And so it's really important that we make sure that this is not just a conversation for the environmental community. That's why the business community is so integral to the success of advancing policies and just advancing the conversation on sustainability.
All right, thank you. And this is a two-part question that came in, but what inspired your interest in this subject area? So that's part one. What inspired your interest in the subject area? And then how can we cultivate a new generation of young people that choose this career path?
Yes, thank you for that. I am a self-proclaimed indoor girl. And so the great outdoors is something that I like to experience from inside my house as I look out the window away from the bugs. But that's okay. We have to meet people where they are. I think my interest in this issue grew during my time at the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. I had the great pleasure of working with Sean Logan and Mike Sheldon and an amazing team of folks who allowed me to have some freedom. And I got to do an urban youth fishing trip with 100 youth from my neighborhood where I grew up. And seeing their faces light up about a resource that they didn't even know that was right down the street from them was something that made me really excited. And that really cultivated my interest in this area, coupled with my family history and learning more and more about our work and our history. And so in terms of cultivating a new generation, it's going to be changing the face of environmentalism, reorienting environmentalism. It's going in and letting them know that there are people of color that are in the environmental field, that you don't just have to be an outdoor, enthusiast to get involved in the environmental field or in sustainability. It's not one look. It's not one career path. It's a number of different things. I went into government relations for my entire career and still ended up in environmentalism. And so it's really, again, reorienting environmentalism.
Thank you. Thank you. And Crystal, we still have more questions coming in. What we'll do is we will send you those questions from our attendees, and then you can respond back to those. So Crystal, thank you so much for your time this morning, for all your hard work you put in your keynote speech. I speak for all of us here when I say how much we appreciate your personal perspective, your insight, and your call for action as we encourage others to take their sustainability journey. You're an inspiration, and we appreciate you setting the stage for our virtual sustainability conference. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, we're now going to begin our Encouraging Environmental Excellence in Communities recognition ceremony as we close out our hour we had together this morning. And for many of you, I'm looking out the windows, it looks like it's raining, so it's probably raining over a good portion of the state of Ohio. To set the stage for this morning's recognition ceremony, I'd like to introduce Ohio EPA's newest Deputy Director, Jerry Rao. Jerry is Ohio EPA's Deputy Director for Infrastructure Funding. In his role as Deputy Director, Jerry oversees the Division of Environmental and Financial Assistance here at Ohio EPA, including the Office of Financial Assistance, which administers the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Funds, and the Office of Compliance Assistance and Pollution Prevention, which administers compliance assistances to businesses, and also the Recycling and Litter Prevention Grant Program. Jerry also works across multiple divisions within Ohio EPA to coordinate and develop new funding programs. Jerry has been with Ohio EPA for over 30 years, and with that, it's my pleasure to turn over the mic to Jerry.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Super happy to be here. Before I get started, I also want to thank Crystal MC Davis for her opening remarks, her keynote. She's got a lot of power, a lot of passion, insightful, thought-provoking. So we definitely appreciate, Crystal, you starting us off to such a great start. As Dan mentioned, in his opening remarks, one of the hats that I wear here is overseeing the Office of Financial Assistance in the state revolving loan fund programs. So we operate within that world of infrastructure funding and financing, and that is an area in which Crystal is very heavily invested in, and that she does a lot of work. So I'd like to think that we're going to be strong partners in finding good solutions moving forward to the issues that we have with infrastructure. So Crystal, thank you so much for your opening remarks. They're really appreciated. So my role today is to talk a little bit about the Encouraging Environmental Excellence for Community Award system. And then I'm going to turn it over to Dan, who is going to talk about our first group of awardees. So this is really quite exciting for us. We're really excited about coming out with this first group of communities that have received the Encouraging Environmental Excellence Award. So I am Deputy Director here at Ohio EPA, and I'd like to share this information with you. What is the E3C program? That's what we call it, the Encouraging Environmental Excellence for Communities, E3C. Let's talk a little bit about it. The Encouraging Environmental Excellence for Communities program recognizes communities that have demonstrated exceptional achievements in environmental stewardship. Any local government or department in that local government can be recognized for its commitment to environmental excellence. So the recognition could be for the community as a whole, or a subunit of that local government, such as the water plant or the wastewater plant, or maybe the parks department or the electric division, etc. And the award is for their pursuit of environmental stewardship. So the applications are evaluated using a stewardship-based system developed by Ohio EPA. The goal of environmental stewardship is to reduce the impact of business or organizational activities on the environment beyond measures required by a permit or a rule, thereby producing a better environment, conserving natural resources, and resulting in long-term economic benefits. So clearly, applicants must be in compliance with the environmental laws and regulations, but E3C applicants must go beyond compliance and demonstrate stewardship. Applications for the E3C program use a checklist format and are accepted at any time of the year. And that's important because we want to encourage communities to apply at any time of the year. So how do we evaluate these applicants? Well, let's take a quick look at that. Eligible activities are broken down into 3 categories and listed on our online application for the E3C program. First, there are environmental activities, which focus on measures to reduce waste and efficiently use resources. They could include things like water conservation, recycling, and reduction in the generation of waste. And there are others. A second evaluation category is economic activities that might demonstrate cost savings through reducing environmental impacts and increasing social benefits. These could include things like community-based energy efficiency programs and sponsoring a buy local program, for example. And then a third evaluation category are what we call social activities, which actively involve community members. These could include things like starting a community garden project or creating a community sustainability team. So those are the 3 main evaluation criteria that we use. And these categories are important in determining what level of recognition a community will receive. The more evaluation categories that a community completes, the higher their recognition category. So there's 3 program levels that we have: the implementation level, a stewardship level, and then the highest category that we have for recognition is the sustainability level. So in order to get the implementation level, a community must complete 1 activity in the environmental category. For our second program level, the stewardship level, a community must complete 1 activity in the economic and social categories and 2 activities in the environmental category. And then for that third recognition level, the highest, the sustainable level, a community must complete 2 activities in the economic and social categories and 4 activities in the environmental category. So you can see we've designed a system that evaluates multiple facets and then tries to recognize communities that have implemented more and more things within their community. There's benefits to being recognized under the E3C program. It is, and in its essence, it's a recognition program. And so that's what we try to do. Communities recognized in E3C will be listed on our webpage. They receive a certificate from the director of the Ohio EPA. They will receive decals with the E3C logo. A lot of communities like to display those on their windows, and receive an E3C flag to fly at their location, which can really be a symbol of pride for a lot of communities. And then obviously from the presentation that we're doing right now, we look for opportunities to recognize award winners at our annual conferences. So, applying for the E3C program is really just the beginning of the process. We've got more information on our website. We'd love for you to check it out. But we believe that it's just the beginning of a dialogue that we would like to have with communities and to continue the discussion about sustainability and about how they can further their mission. So with that, we're really excited about announcing the first grouping of communities that are receiving Ohio EPA's E3C recognition this year. So I'm super happy to turn it over to Dan Sowery to continue with the awards.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for providing background and context to Ohio EPA's Encouraging Environmental Excellence program as we highlight Ohio's communities and their accomplishment. At this point, we will highlight the accomplishments of 7 Ohio communities. All right. First up is Bradford Wastewater Treatment Plant, located in Bradford, Ohio. And this awardee demonstrates how even a small community can enhance Ohio's environment. To mention only a few of their accomplishments, the village's wastewater division applied corrective maintenance and tuned up the wastewater treatment plant's blower, resulting in improved energy efficiency and reduced chemical use, and saving about $1,200 a month for the operation of the plant. So congratulations to Bradford Wastewater Treatment Plant for your accomplishments and efforts to enhance your community's environment. Our next awardee, the Greater Cincinnati Waterworks, demonstrates how a larger community can use sustainability to improve their environmental performance. To highlight their accomplishments, the city's regional drinking water division installed renewable energy projects, reduced natural gas use, installed solar cells and more energy efficient pumps, upgraded lighting, and started a green team to suggest and implement additional improvements. Congratulations and thank you, Greater Cincinnati Waterworks, for your efforts to use sustainability to improve your environmental performance. Our next awardee, Clinton Township, located in Franklin County, illustrates how a township can promote sustainability in their services. Clinton Township implemented a trash service contract that includes recycling bins for all township residents. They completed energy efficiency upgrades for community facilities and made retrofits to an existing facility after an energy audit was conducted. Clinton Township also replaced local government traffic signals, street lighting, and/or parking illumination with energy efficient lighting technologies and purchased 3 electric vehicles, 2 for the police and 1 for code compliance. To top it off, Clinton Township also performs a litter sweep of local roads, has a community garden, educational activities for children, and tree plantings throughout the community. Congratulations to Clinton Township for your outstanding illustration of how a township can promote sustainability. Our next awardee, the City of Dublin. They have made great strides in transportation sustainability and made significant progress in many other areas. So the City of Dublin has implemented a Property Assessed Clean Energy, or PACE, financing program to support energy efficiency and renewable projects. They've created a community sustainability team, a program to reduce the number of commuters driving alone, and they've created a program to encourage recycling. The city also implemented energy efficiency upgrades in community facilities, purchased compressed natural gas vehicles and vehicles with anti-idling devices, developed a community composting program, and is implementing green infrastructure and capital improvement projects. Congratulations to the City of Dublin for your significant progress in a multitude of areas in your community and for your transportation sustainability initiatives. Our next awardee, the City of Upper Arlington, has a full range of sustainability activities that enhance their community. The city implemented and encourages the use of bike paths and bicycle right-of-ways, began a program to encourage recycling or waste reduction, and replaced local government traffic signals, street lighting, and/or parking space illumination with energy efficient lighting. The city also made energy efficiency upgrades in community facilities, requires every project going through public review process to be eligible for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, or LEED certification. The city also has an ordinance allowing rain barrels and rain gardens, resulting in the largest installation of rain gardens in Central Ohio. They have used permeable pavers and created a renewable energy ordinance on zoning overlay districts. So congratulations to the City of Upper Arlington for demonstrating your full range of sustainability activities that enhance your community. Our next awardee, the Westerville Energy Division, located in Westerville, Ohio, shows how energy-related initiatives can have a big impact on sustainability in communities. The division implemented an energy efficiency program for the community and programs to encourage recycling and waste reduction and encourage renewable energy projects. The division also hosts a hazardous waste day for hard-to-recycle products. The city is investing in energy efficiency upgrades for community facilities, purchasing electric vehicles, and installing electric vehicle charging stations. So congratulations to the Westerville Energy Division for demonstrating how energy-related initiatives can have a big impact on sustainability in communities. Our next awardee, the Willard Wastewater Treatment Plant, located in Willard, Ohio, shows many of the things that you can do to implement sustainability at a wastewater treatment plant. The Willard Wastewater Treatment Plant implemented a program to encourage recycling and waste reduction, installed energy-efficient motors and lighting in facilities, modernized the lab, which reduced energy use and waste, is beneficially reusing land-applied biosolids, and is conducting community outreach about recycling and to highlight the upgrades. Congratulations to the Willard Wastewater Treatment Plant for demonstrating the multitude of options to implement sustainability at a wastewater treatment plant. Now we will turn it back over to Deputy Director Jerry Rao to learn more about the E3C award program and how your community can get recognized for your sustainability related accomplishments. Jerry?
Hey, thanks, Dan. You know, just listening to those awardees, it's inspiring. And I'm inspired by listening to the accomplishments that they've realized. It's just really fantastic. So if you're participating in the webinar today, and if you live in one of those communities that received an award, try to reach out to those people that may have been responsible and say, hey, you know, thank you for your efforts at sustainability. Maybe even encourage them to take the next step, the next level, to level up, as Crystal said, and to try to figure out another way to boost their sustainability efforts. If you're in the audience and in the community that you live in, you say, hey, wait a minute, I think we do some of those things right now. I think we have some of those sustainability facets within our community. We'll encourage your community to apply to the E3C program, because we would love to share recognition with them if they're already demonstrating sustainability. That would be fantastic. So encourage them to apply to the program. And then if you live in a community and you're not currently implementing some of those sustainability practices, we would love for you to encourage your community to get onto our website and see what kind of things could be done to to get your community on that sustainability path. So there's more information that's available at our website, and we would love for people to explore, find out more, expand their sustainability horizons, and continue this journey along the sustainability path. So I want to thank you and encourage you all to continue the sustainability journey. And at this point, I want to turn it back to Dan, who I believe is going to close out our session.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry, for providing your continued support for Ohio's communities that want to start their sustainability journey, and for setting the stage for this morning's ceremony. And thank you, everyone, for attending this morning's keynote and community recognition ceremony. Once you leave, you will receive a survey, and we value your feedback and would greatly appreciate it if you let us know how we're doing, and let us know if there's anything that we can do to further assist you. A certificate of attendance will also be emailed to you. We hope you can join us again this morning at 11, where you will hear from sustainability leaders from the city of Cincinnati, Power a Clean Future Ohio, and the city of Cleveland as they encourage sustainability efforts on a regional level. Again, that's at 11 this morning. Local level sustainability is essential to accomplishing long-term sustainable goals. Join us at 2 p.m. this afternoon to hear from local sustainability leaders from the city of Grove City, Village of Moreland Hills, and award-winning Mad Tree Brewing Company as they encourage attendees to jump into sustainability at the local level. Having a plan and the right measurement metrics and tools can impact implementing sustainability at your organization. Join Ron Kinghorn tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. as he discusses his environment, social, and governance experience and how organizations have integrated these concepts into their strategies and operations. Have you ever wondered how to implement sustainability at your organization? Join us tomorrow at 11 to hear from some of the region's sustainable leaders as they demonstrate how they've implemented sustainability within the organizations related to green infrastructure and citywide initiatives. It's also important to track and measure your organization's sustainability progress so you can quantify your sustainability journey. Join us at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, to learn about the tools the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, Columbia Gas of Ohio, and the Kroger Company have utilized. Each part of the sustainability journey should be celebrated. Join Ohio EPA's Director Lori Stevenson Thursday morning as we recognize Ohio's businesses, nonprofits, communities, and other organizations for going above and beyond compliance while demonstrating environmental excellence. Celebrating sustainability is a key component of the sustainability journey, but how do you keep up the momentum? Join us Thursday at 11 to hear from the City of Upper Arlington, the Food Bank of Dayton, and Bronzeville Growers Market as they share how to keep moving forward with sustainable initiatives related to food waste diversion, food injustice, food insecurity, and community gardens. Lastly, Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m., join us to learn how GreenSpot and Clean Fuels Ohio recognize and work with a variety of organizations to celebrate sustainability. To register for these sessions, all of these are free. Check out our e-binder, which is included as a handout to today's session. And with that, we will end this morning's presentation. We hope to see everyone again at 11 a.m. this morning. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.